Hello everybody and welcome back to our 2008 and 2009 recreation of Barcelona. So, it's been a pretty successful period off camera in terms of results. Average possessions up to 58% for us, 13,755 passes completed. Results a bit like this. Pretty good. We've finally found, I think, a little tweak to the tactic that's worked, and it's working okay at the moment. So this is it as it stands. Now, I don't normally like to have the wingers back because of the pressing. And that was on FM21 and before. But even like at the moment, even right now, I'm not noticing too much difference in the pressing, whether it's an attacking like winger up here or a wide midfielder down here. Now, wide midfielder role is good because it's basically vanilla. Like, it's got nothing on it except for get further forward. So you can put whatever you want on it. And at the moment, we have pass it shorter, cross less often, dribble more, stay wider, tackle harder. That's what I currently have for the wingers on both sides, except for Martins go sit narrower. And the reason is that he still doesn't do it that much, but like the difference is that with Messi, I find him at times he would go narrow slightly earlier than Henry. Henry would be told to stay wide for Iniesta, whereas Xavi wasn't going to go and take up exactly the same areas as Iniesta would. So that's why we've got that, and also then he's got the attacking wing back on his side. So that's how we've set up at the moment, and it's done pretty well recent games. Bilbao at home was the most recent one. So only 57% possession in the end, but I was tweaking as we went. 509 passes completed. I feel like we're on the right track, but not perfect still. Which is the story of the save so far. So today's game we're going to play against Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey semi-final first leg. We did manage to sign Saraki. Now, he is injured at the start of the game with a long-term injury, and he just finally came back from injury, and then he got another one. So I don't know how good he's going to be, but at least it's a left back potentially to play. That's all we could get in though. There were lots of players that we could have bought, but there just wasn't any value for money. Like, if it was a normal save without a club in financial ruin, I would have easily spent this money up front on somebody better just to get somebody in. But everybody that we could have gone for would have like crippled us. Like Erling Haaland was an option, but it would have cost us 100 million, and we just can't afford that with the monthly losses that we make. So like overall, the balance has gone up, and that's with us selling Busquets, who's then gone, Neto, Araujo. I forgot to mention we also signed Ndombele to be the new pivot player for us. You probably saw that and was wondering why I wasn't mentioning that. I just completely forgot. So yeah, Neto's gone out on loan. Araujo went for 46 million, like we mentioned before in the previous episode, and Busquets has gone for 12 million. So lots of wages off the wage bill as well, which is good. So the team for today's game is going to be Ter Stegen in goal, Lazari, Oscar, Eric Garcia and Demir at the back, Ndombele, De Jong and Pedri in the middle, Gelson, Martins, Fati and Depay as the front three. Lots of players out for injuries and other reasons. Assistant manager says. The media comment, of course he does. So what you can expect to see here a lot more of is the players staying a lot more patient on the ball. Even though it's attacking mentality, with the tempo and the passing dropped, you see that they seem to stay a lot more patient on the ball. As Lazari gets it here, like he doesn't try and force it in first. Gelson, it goes back to Lazari. Once he's in that situation, he probably has the only option there to cross because De Jong wasn't really an option. And Mazzala support isn't exactly what I wanted for the Xavi role, but it's what we've ended up with so far at this point. Okay, what I like about this is I feel like that we're moving the ball around and actually moving them out of position. So like right here, you can see them, they're pretty well set at the moment, Madrid, and we keep bouncing it around, but it's not like we're just passive possession. It's like we're trying to like move them out of the way to try and get out. So we try and get through the first line, it doesn't quite work out for us, we go back, he bites on the ball, so you're starting to create gaps in little places here and there. Doesn't quite work out. Like we get through that first line, then we don't quite penetrate the second time round. Eventually Pedri then plays the ball over to Gelson Martins, it goes through. Not a bad effort though, with a bit of purpose. We're staying on the ball, we're not forcing it, but we're not just bouncing around for the sake of it. It felt like that there was trying to be a purpose to that and they just couldn't quite find their way through, which is fine. That's a massive step in the right direction from where we were at before. Let's see how the pressing looks now then. So as you can see, even though they're wide midfielder attacks, they're pretty high, even in playing out, right? So they're quite high there. The Mazzala support's pretty high. In fact, Pedri, the Mazzala attack, is the one that's gone deepest. He's going to go wide and press this now and give away a free kick. But yeah, so you can see there that with the wide midfielders on attack duty, still press pretty decently for what we're looking for. And we've won the ball back. I've just changed Ter Stegen to a super keeper defend. The reason is, just then he had the ball, had loads of options, and he pinged it straight out to Fati for no reason. We lost the ball. So I've just put on transition him to roll it out to the fullbacks and centre-backs, and he's now also a super keeper defend. That should now stop that problem. Because we would have had the ball this entire time if they hadn't done that. This is quite close to being a really good move. Pedri to Ndombele. It's going to work its way to the right-hand side here. As it comes over, you'll see that we get the ball here on the right wing back. The right winger's in there. Good. And he plays it into Ndombele. It's played into Pedri, and we lose the ball here. But if that had been a good pass and got into Pedri, it'd been interesting to see what he would have done with that. He's come a little narrow, a little early, but that is what it is at the moment. That was close. We are absolutely dominating them at the moment. What's the possession like? It must be in our favour quite a lot. 69%, yeah. We've absolutely dominated them. They can't get the ball off us. And when they get the ball, they just go in behind early. We win it back. And Nombele, we actually created a few pretty good moves. And, De Jong made the run. So I changed the striker role to advance forward. I forgot to mention that. And the reason is, sometimes when he's a complete forward or a role that likes to get on the ball, he'll come over and get in the way of the midfielders. He needs to stay central. And I'm just looking for an advance forward to maybe do that for us. Maybe Poacher's the way to go. I don't know. Something to not only stay central, but also as a threat in behind. Because sometimes they get caught here, get caught passing it. And sometimes the ball in behind is on. And I think in a match in real life with Samuel Eto'o there, that would just be played. Like if they're going to give it to you. Like I don't want him really in the half space. He's got moves into channels with that. So that's why Poacher isn't as bad, because it doesn't have move into channels. So most striker roles have move into channels. That's the problem. With an attack duty, most roles have move into channels. So Poacher's the only one that doesn't. Okay, Poacher is. We'll try Poacher for a little bit. Get him in here, running in behind. And just because they are a more... And I mentioned this in my Pep tactic last year, just because they're a advanced role and it says they're not involved in build-up and stuff. Look here, like this is the advanced forward right now. Memphis is dropping off the back line to get on the ball, even though it's an advanced forward. So just because the role description says they don't tend to do it, doesn't mean they won't. Players will still play not only the situation of the game, they're good players. They seem to be a lot more intelligent about playing the situation, but also if the situation, but also the profile of player as well, like you have to factor into it as well. What's important to remember as well, this is away from home. This isn't a neutral venue. 72% possession against Barcelona. This is unbelievably better, right? That's what we've just been doing. This is just incredibly better for possession. Now, we're not creating any clear-cut chances at the moment. That is a slight problem, but we'll take that as a problem first. We'd rather have too much possession and not enough chances created. That is the one thing. And we have got to be more expressive on as well. That is something that I added into the tactic. That's been on the whole game. I just haven't mentioned it yet. Nombele. Yeah, so I'm thinking of two things. Trequartista is one for the striker. Two is making him a shadow striker and dropping him out of the striker line. Here we go then. First play out with the shadow striker. Let's see how he does. Let's watch him there. Let's watch our Samuel Eto'o here. What's he going to do? He's going to drop deep initially. Is he going to be a threat eventually for us? He's going to get on the ball. At least he's doing something. He wasn't even doing that before. He's got to be a threat as well, though. You can't just be that. You have to be the threat. Oh! That would have been one of the best goals I think I've ever seen in Foot Manager. Considering we know what we're trying to recreate. Watch this. This whole move was brilliant. I don't know where it started, really. Did it start from back here? I'll start all the way back here with Ter Stegen. So we just build it up, and we constantly are moving them around trying to find a way in, right? It's not just passive possession. It's really good. So we go through, it doesn't quite work out, we go back. We might lose this at some point. I don't think we do, though. I think we just keep this the whole time. We just keep going around. And we almost threaten through here with Ansu Fati. He decides it's not ready, so then he goes back, he retains it, goes back in and makes him bite. They play a nice little combination play, break through, works all the way across, play through, and Pedri nearly scored. And it's a shame, that would have been a great goal. Stays 0-0. Okay, I've just moved him back to a Poacher, the striker. Purely because if I had just shown you then, I might have just shown you with a bit of music over the top. We just passed the ball around again for about, 30, 40 seconds in real time. I don't know how many minutes it was in the game. And we get to like the midfielders or the wingers, and then it stops because there's no threat. There's nobody running in behind. The wingers, sometimes they're on the ball, but they can't run themselves. And I just feel like that you need to have somebody running in behind in those scenarios, especially with with trying to recreate this team. One of two things you can happen. You could have the striker then dropping in to get on the ball, being creative and letting players run in behind as well, which you do want as well, but that'd be more like the 2010 and 2011 team with Messi as the striker. But with this one, Samuel Eto'o, obviously, he was obviously allowed to run in behind and be a threat as well as the other players. So it's going to be a case of trying to now they're retaining the ball more. We've got a striker up there. I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which role is going to do it for us. But it's not, the shadow striker doesn't run in behind. I mean, I could maybe click roam from position with the shadow striker. I just hope that doesn't mean he would go into the channels. But like the Poacher, I don't know. We'll just see. I've put Poacher and roam from position at the moment as the solution. But I feel like I'm pretty happy with a lot of this, and it's just this last little bit here. So on a lot of the players, I actually have pass short or fewer risks on. and it was from the earlier part of the tactic and trying to stop them just wasting possession, trying everything I could. Now, what I've noticed is a lot of times now they're very, very safe on the ball, so I thought, okay, I can do one or two things. Either you go back through to each player and start to undo what you did, or do we just keep it as it is and just put pass into space on? And hopefully, because what that will do is it still stop these players from trying unnecessarily. What that should do, hopefully, is to stop these players still unnecessarily risking the ball in playing out. But then when you get to the final third or the middle third, then the more risky passes come. To try and combine, if we could potentially lose 2 or 3% possession in this game, but then be a little more of a threat. That would probably be a good thing. To have 67% possession away to Real Madrid is pretty good. But to have maybe like an expected goals of, at this point in the game, 1.2, 1.3 would be good, I think, for us. So I think what's important is then to try and do that. So I thought, okay, let's go pass into space and just see what happens here. This is the first sort of thing happen. We did give it away a couple of times. And then finally, the ball goes through to our poacher. Memphis. And then, because we're passing into space, I don't know if it changes the runs, but that's like perfect play. He's dropped in, got on the ball. I don't know where the centre-back is. Militar Alaba. So the two centre-backs are marking nobody because it's basically a false 9 temporarily. Pedri went through, and Pedri in a couple of years' time is going to go through and score that. And he cuts back, and it was close. So just a little thing to note there that we've gone for to see how that plays out over the next few minutes. Here we go then. Ter Stegen has the ball. Let's see how we play with this. Ter Stegen has it. He can roll up to Eric Garcia. Good. Eric Garcia is going to stay on it and say, no, thank you. I'm not going to send this. Ter Stegen to Eric Garcia. And they keep bouncing it. Right. So you've got Ansu Fati already making a run now. He doesn't really need to be there, I think, right now. He's made a run in behind. Down the outside, Fati, so we get the ball to you. Okay, now that's better. Because now the lane's open straight up to in, so you could go bang and then bang straight through here. It's gone there. Didn't go there the second time though, but that's okay. Pedri. I think that's passing to space had a bit of an effect there with the decision that he made on the ball. So that's because he already has played more risky passes, right, with his pre-selected instructions with Azala. Possession's going to have dropped a little bit the last few minutes. I think we keep giving it away a bit too much. Eric Garcia. Oscar now has it. He's going to play it into Eric Garcia again to Pedri. Pedri. Now that's where for me the striker has to start making that run. So you do the hard bit. You break through the two lines. You've got the ball in a half space with an attacking midfield player. Make the bloody run. But I need obviously a striker with break offside traps, but I don't want to create a tactic where you need to have a player with a specific trait to make it work. That isn't what we're looking to do. So that's not quite working for us. What else can I make you do? I don't know what else to tell you to do, really. Advance forward is like the highest one. Like in position wise, it stays the highest. So let's try that, I guess. Okay, halftime. I'm gonna say time for everybody to dig in. I'm just looking at I didn't see who lost the ball, but I was just watching the striker's movement. Don't know. Oh, they just scored. So undeserved. We've just gone all out attack, try and get a goal in the last second here. So this will be just like, I've done the key highlights, I guess. So Real Madrid have it. They're going to play out. Can we get any pressure on it? We need to try and get a goal. Oh, they're through. 2-0. Game over. Gonna say disappointing. Okay, I think what we'll do in this episode, we'll now play the Cadiz game as well, but I'll do this like as a normal game just with highlights. We're not going to go through the entire game. So we'll have quite a similar tactic. Like most of it is right. There's just a couple of things you could do. You could put tempo up a little bit. You could maybe go a bit wider. There's a few things you could change, but I think right now we're close. So let's just go to the next game and I'll see you in a second for that. Okay, welcome back. One slight problem. Ter Stegen's out injured for 3 weeks. That is not good. So Inkai Peña comes in for this game. It'll be okay for this game, okay for that game. That game might be a slight issue. So there's that. 2 changes for the tactic for today. Passing the space comes on, and we're going to put Shadow Striker in from the start, but with run from position. And hopefully it means he'll go in behind, but we'll see. That's the team. Gavi comes in for Ndombele, and the keeper. That's the only 2 changes. Assistant manager says, media comment, and we are on the way. Early on here, first minute of the game, they go straight through 1-on-1. Wow, that was close. I like here, Pedri has the ball on the right hand side. He's going to cross it. Gelson Martins, 1-0 Barca. They were at 62% behind. They were at 62% the entire game. All of a sudden, it dropped to 54% for possession. I don't know why, but that's got to be something to do with this, I think. Let's try that. Let's see what he does. Highlight for Barcelona, De Jong to Pedri, Pedri to Gavi, Gavi plays it back to Pedri. Memphis, 2-0 Barca. Barcelona highlight Ansu Fati to Lazari. Lazari now plays it to Ansu Fati. Ansu Fati to Eric Garcia, back to Ansu Fati. What a finish, 3-0 Barca. Going to say we've done well on controlling possession so far. Going to take off passing to space, but put the width at 1. See how that goes. Going to put him back to advance forward as well. Going to take off Gelson Martins and put on Galeno. As we have a highlight here, Gavi has it, plays it through to Pedri. Could have been a goal. Going to take off De Jong and put on, I think, we'll put on Nico. And the game finishes 3-0 to Barca. I'm going to say, well done, that's a good win for us. Now, I changed a couple of things in the second half. We ended up with 61% possession. I changed the width back to the way it was, and I basically went back to the way it was, but I put the tempo up. That's how it finished. 62% possession, 2 clicker chances, 2 half chances. Expected goals of 3.13, which is good without a penalty. 559 passes completed, so not a bad effort in the end, considering how it started. Now, I ended up basically with this. That came off. That was back there. That's what I ended up with, was that. So what you can see now is when I'm making tweaks and changes, it's not drastic changes, is it? When we spoke about that fork before, about where we're going to end up going, I think now we've sort of found our way of the way. I think now we've sort of found our way of the direction we're going to go, and just little tweaks around that one, area is how it's going to end up going. So good. I am pleased about that. It's good. It's an improvement. It's positive. I know that sounds very positive. It's just because when you're critically analysing, thinking about things, it's tough to be anything but critical, I guess. And we're getting closer, we're getting better, but that's the other thing I wanted to change, was actually we need to change this as well. And that is going to do it for today's episode. I guess we'll come back for the Atletico Madrid game, and then the second, I think, is we're chasing the game here, right? We're chasing the game against Madrid, so we'll come back for the Atletico Madrid game definitely, and then we might come back for this one. I'm thinking maybe more so a tough away game would be good, because we're not good away from home. In fact, we haven't got one for ages. Maybe we do Valencia and Espanyol as the next episode, because we haven't really got another tough game until then. So, anyway, league table looks like this. We are currently, we're quite far ahead now. If Real Madrid win the game in hand, they get a 52, which is 6 points behind us. So that's pretty good from our point of view. And average possession and stuff looks like this. We're still at 58 for average possession, 14,314 completed. And we can't seem to catch Celta Vigo for passes completed no matter what happens. Real Sociedad, look at this, 17,000 passes completed. They're really racking up the passes, but not the average possession, which is interesting. We are creating enough chances, I guess. Expected goals for is 52.55. We just haven't scored as many as we should have. That's interesting. Clear-cut chances created, 107 for Barcelona. Shots for, 440. Shots on target. So a lot of the in-possession statistics are in our favour. Best defensive record. Least amount of goals expected against us. How much clean sheets? It's not bad statistically overall. It's just the we're getting there. We're getting there, aren't we? We're definitely getting there. We're making progress, making steps forward. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.